when I look at Polygon POS, to believe that Polygon can be everything. And historically, it's been pretty good at everything. Gaming, DePIN, RWAs, payments, DeFi. Like that idea, if we believe in what we believe in, is not real. That you're going to need to become specific something. So Polygon POS started focusing much more deeply about a year ago on like payments and RWAs as its core focus. And simple reason for that is when we actually started looking at the data, we realized that we were leaders in this category. And it was something that, frankly, because we were so distracted with all the many other things, we hadn't realized it. Once we started actually focusing on it, we started realizing that. But what's missing in this is DeFi. And when we think of something like the ag layer, which has a cold start problem, right? You want tons of chains to come connect to it, but everyone's asking, why would I connect to it? Well, the best way to do that is actually to solve a problem that people have. And what people have is this problem where they don't want DeFi on their chain. Let's take a gaming chain as an example. I want to build great games, and I want my users to be able to experience great games. I want to build everything that I build for that purpose. But I do know that my users want to tap into a DeFi ecosystem somewhere. So I need to give that to them. Well, the best thing possible is to just be able to do that cross-chain in a very, very seamless way. So the ag layer is built in a way that allows chains natively connected to the ag layer by the end of this year to be able to go sub 5 seconds between chains and in a secure way and tap into another chain. So that all led to, we need to build a chain that can actually allow thousands of chains to tap into its liquidity without any problems. And we went and looked around all of crypto and thought, what chain could we bring to the ag layer that actually is built for this purpose of having very deep liquidity that anyone could be able to tap into? And when you go and you look at what DeFi looks like today on any chain, you actually realize that it's built very poorly. And this doesn't matter whether it's Ethereum, Solana, Polygon POS, Arbitrum, across the board. The reason for this is because ultimately users care about two things. One of them is the deep liquidity we've been talking about. And the second one they care about is high yields. When you look at how this is solved on chains, it's literally not solved. Imagine how crazy it is when you think that most chains have 30 dexes and liquidity is shared amongst all of them. It would be like Binance saying, hey, here's 30 different order books you can choose from. And you're a market maker and you're going to like 2 or 3 of them. Like, bottom line is like that is much more shallow liquidity that can exist. So instead of having, Aave and Morpho and Euler on the lending side, or Sushi and Uniswap and Aerodrome and QuickSwap and keep going down the list on like the DEX side, what Katana does is it actually effectively semi-enshrines one in each of these categories. So you'll only find one lending protocol. It's Morpho. You'll only find one spot DEX, which is Sushi. You'll only find one perp DEX, which is going to be announced soon. You'll only find one meme coin launchpad, which is called Kenz, which is effectively like launched by the team behind Impossible Finance, the launchpad. These are the only ones. What this allows now is for all the liquidity that wants to engage in lending to only go to Morpho. Deepens liquidity significantly more. Anyone who wants to execute a DEX trade goes straight into Sushi. So now you don't need to worry that like half the liquidity is in Uniswap and another 40% in Sushi and another 10% over here. 100% of it is in Sushi. So you get much, much, much deeper liquidity. That's the number one thing that Katana ends up solving, which solves it for the ag layer in terms of needing that deep liquidity. And then the second part that Katana solves is that it looks at how do we actually have high yields that are sustainable? Because crypto is super good at high yields. It's terrible at sustainability high yields, right? So we can throw tokens out as incentives all day long. Every ecosystem eventually runs out of them, and they need to figure out how to continue growing when there's another ecosystem that has a token. So Katana's built, it has a token called CAT. There's emissions that go to like kickstart the ecosystem. All of these kind of core apps like Morpho and Sushi and the Perpdex and Launchpad allocate a portion of their tokens to incentives as well. That helps kickstart the ecosystem. It's brought in $400 million of TVL in a few weeks. But that's actually not the important part. The important part is other mechanisms that make this sustainable. So Katana has these three sources of what we refer to as like real yields. So one of them is actually using a protocol that Polygon built called Vault Bridge. So this is that all deposits of USDC, USDT, ETH, and BTC into the chain are actually deposited into Morpho vaults on Ethereum. Those assets are lent out, they earn yields. All of those yields go to incentivize those core protocols. Then similarly, you take all sequencer fees, because it's a single sequencer chain, and you go and you use all those sequencer fees to incentivize those core apps. Similarly, there's a stablecoin that is native to the chain, that is Agora's stablecoin, AUSD. We get a very significant portion of the revenue that goes straight into this. And so what you get is these sources of yield that grow with size, they grow with activity, and you end up actually having all of that pushing liquidity into the core apps, and ultimately the users who deposit there and all the applications built on top of those core apps end up getting the benefit of those incentives. And now you actually have a sustainable ecosystem where you have deep liquidity, but then you also have higher sustainable yields than exist elsewhere. And that's the whole thesis behind Katana and how it helps like the ag layer kind of solve this cold start problem.